New Artist Spotlight Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the New Artist Spotlight podcast this week, where we interview people from the NAS community, our wonderful indie musicians. My name is Lisa Haden and I'm here today with my co-host.
I'm Origin Cross and I am excited to be back again for another episode with you guys. Today we have on another awesome guest. Today we are joined by Bryan Cooper. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. And thanks to you guys for rearranging this at an awkward time zone. It's like a perfect equilateral triangle of time differences. So it couldn't be more difficult for us to have arranged this. It's 7 a.m. here. Is it 10 p.m. where you are, Lisa?
It is, yes.
Yeah, and I think Origin's just chilling out in the middle.
Yep, 4 p.m.
Yeah. Nice.
So we're like in 2 different days, right?
Yeah, it's Monday morning here. I should be at work, but I've got the day off.
Don't ruin the future for us. Don't tell us what happens.
Yeah, no, I won't tell you the FA Cup scores.
All right. Well, for everybody who is just getting to know you, right, give us an introduction about yourself. How did you really get started? What kind of music do you make?
Right. Okay. Well, I spoke briefly to Liz James about this on the Pick Their Skulls podcast. But I used to be in a band when I was living in England that got signed to a major label. So obviously that was a massive thing for me. We were signed by a guy called Seymour Stein, and he signed Madonna, of all people, and he signed the Smiths, and he worked with like a whole host of amazing artists. So obviously we thought we'd hit the big time. We went into a studio in Wales and got an album done, and then things fell away quite sharply. So then I entered a very difficult period of my life. So I kind of gave up music for a while. And then I got myself back together, went to university, and decided that I would come to Japan just to try something new and challenge myself. And it's only since I've been here that I've really started trying to do solo stuff, because I've always seen myself as a guitarist, but not really as a singer. So I've kind of evolved into a singer-songwriter existence. So I guess my music is probably, people who listen to it can probably pick up on the Britpop nature of it. I don't like that term, but it's unavoidable. So yeah, it's very guitar-centric. I think of myself as a guitarist singer-songwriter rather than a singing singer-songwriter.
I see, I'm very grateful that you went solo, because I think your voice is absolutely beautiful. It's smooth, it's really easy to listen to, and I just love it. So I'm really grateful that you moved away from being just a guitarist and moved into becoming a singer-songwriter and a vocalist, because I think you really are sort of the full package in that sense. And I really enjoyed your recent album. I sort of binge listen to it the same way you would binge watch something on Netflix.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you, Lisa.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Even now, I mean, I think we all understand our own limitations, right? So I think that the skill is to present yourself in a way that doesn't reveal those limitations too much. It's exploiting the things that you're good at and hiding the things that you're weak at. So vocally, I have quite a limited range, which is why you hear me do falsetto quite a lot, because I don't have that high head voice that a lot of other people have. But you turn that into a strength, don't you? That you've got to do that.
Absolutely. So what is it like? Because obviously you say you spent most of your time in a band as a guitarist. So how does it compare now, doing live performances and releasing music as a solo artist as opposed to being part of a band? Do you find that easier or
It's very different. There's a lot of pros and cons. I'll start with the negatives and then move on and end with positives. I guess the negatives of being a solo artist is you don't have that camaraderie. You don't have like going to a gig. You feel like you're part of a gang. You know, you do the sound check and then you go to a bar for an hour and chat and act like rock stars, and it's really fun. And I was in a band with my best mates as well, so I do miss that. Artistically, being in a band can be frustrating because you don't get that control. You don't get everything the way that you want it. And also, the good thing about being solo now is that I've really had to learn my craft. I've had to learn how to write songs and be responsible for everything. And while I do find things like having to create drum tracks a grind, I don't enjoy that aspect. I am loving the whole the aspect of being able to control every little thing about the music that I create now. I guess that's partly egotistical, but it's also liberating.
Yeah. So I guess coming from band life and transitioning into just a do everything yourself lifestyle, right? Approach, I guess maybe it's a better way to put that, has to be a huge transition, right? So when you actually are now going to like start working on a song or start creating, is the process different? Is the inspiration different? Like as opposed to trying to come up with music in a group versus like how you naturally create on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in a band, a lot of the ideas that we created were born out of jams, so which I really enjoyed, and I do miss that. We would just start playing, maybe the bass player would just start playing something and then I'd join in, and then a few hours later you would have something approaching a song. But the way that I do it now, obviously I do jam, but I've only got myself to bounce off. But when I start a song, I don't have a single system, but it will normally start with me playing on the guitar and discovering a new chord, or it'll be something like I've looked on YouTube and discovered this new mode or something. Yeah, something like, oh, I haven't tried the Phrygian mode before. I'll play around with that, and then you come across new territory that you haven't been to before, and it stimulates you artistically to try something exciting.
Excellent. With regards to sort of your music, you play a lot of it yourself. You put a lot of it together yourself, but obviously you also work with producers, and you've worked with, is it Mark Wallis?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's the guy who produced the album that I was telling you about when we got signed. I think I'm right in saying he produced the Travis album, the big album that they had, the Man Who. They had a lot of success with the album. And I learned so much from him. Even now when I'm working on my DAW, I've got his voice in my head saying, you've got to double track the guitar with a different sound, never copy and paste. And he taught me to split my guitar parts up. So like playing live, my guitar parts are very fluid. They're kind of flowing, one flows into the other. The verse seamlessly transitions into the chorus, which is great for playing live, but it's a nightmare for recording because if you play like that, you have to do the whole song in one take. So he taught me how to overlap guitar parts so that it still sounds great, but like if you listen to someone like Blur, the guitarist Graham Coxon's really good at almost producing himself by splitting his guitar parts up. So yeah, that was a big thing.
Okay, so I guess with that, you talk about how he, I guess vocally, or I don't know if everybody calls it the same thing, but that's kind of like what we would call punching in, right? If you were recording your vocals. So you basically learned how to punch in, but with instruments instead, right?
Yeah. The way I approach my guitar parts now, without wanting to sound too pretentious, is that I think of my guitar parts as like an orchestral ensemble. That sounded way more pretentious than I thought it was going to. But I think of my guitar parts as coming in, and then another part comes in, the other one fades out. There's almost like a collaborative approach to it. So yeah, I treat the verse as one thing, I treat the chorus as another, and sometimes they will be the same thing. Like some of the acoustic songs that I've done, I want them to sound the same throughout because I want it to sound like an organic live take. But if I want to go for a more produced sound, then yeah, I'll punch in and deliberately try and make it sound different. I think that's what makes a record sound like a record sometimes.
So just generally then, just some of the verbiage you use, right? Like earlier you were talking about like falsetto and versus like a head voice, and talking about being kind of like trained, or at least what you've gotten from working with other people, right? Do you have any like formal training in anything, or are you kind of just self-taught and you kind of just picked it up as you've gone?
Self-taught. I've never had a guitar lesson, which I'm really pleased about because it's given me a lot of really good listening skills. I think listening is an underrated skill, arguably the most important, because when I play, I hear what I'm playing and I can react to it, and I can react to other musicians. I just bought a book. I think it was called The Guitar Handbook by Ralph Denier, and I used to diligently write out like diagrams of my fretboard and write where all the notes were. So I almost treated it like a school subject. So when I was at school, I did learn the trumpet, but I didn't enjoy it at all, because they were teaching me, and I didn't have a reason, I didn't have a motivation, there was no goal. Why am I learning the trumpet to play other people's music? And then when I turned 16, I bought a guitar, and I realized that there was a joy to it by just doing something yourself. Vocally, no, I've certainly never had any training. I would like to have some vocal lessons actually, because my breath control is awful. Like I wouldn't want anybody to hear some of my takes, because it sounds like I've got asthma sometimes.
Hey, I do have asthma.
Oh really? But I've heard your music, and your breath control sounds amazing. But I don't know if you're cheating, but it sounds.
Oh, of course. No, in this era of my career, yes, I absolutely cheat. There was a time before where it was I thought everything had to be done in one take, and that's kind of why it struck me when you said you do it with instruments, because I'm like, I used to have to rap like an entire verse and then the chorus and then another entire verse, and because punching in and out to me always sounded awkward when I tried to go back and mix it. So that's kind of why I was so intrigued by you do it with guitar too. Like I never even thought about doing it with instruments.
I guess the technology is just another instrument that we have to learn. So I have so much respect for people who can sing or rap for 30 seconds without breathing. I don't know how they do it. I can barely manage a sentence.
See, I've never done this punching in. This is all new to me. Everything I've produced has sort of been in the house, and it has literally been a case of, right, we'll just sing it, and there's no sort of auto tune or anything. So it probably sounds really amateur. But at least I'll listen to it now and I'm like, okay, at least that was actually me singing rather than, auto tune or something like that. But it would be nice to learn all these things. But like you say, the whole production side of it is almost like a whole new instrument that you need to learn. And there's just so many different things that you can do. It's difficult to get your head around it all, the whole producing side of it anyway.
Yeah. I would much rather listen to a vocal that has no auto-tune than has too much auto-tune. That's a very easy call. I think a lot of artists that I hear use too much auto-tune because we've become conditioned now to accept that it's almost how a voice should sound. I think some of the students that I teach at my school, like when they listen to like K-pop or J-pop, it just sounds completely normal to them. That's how a voice should sound. And then when they hear something like The Who, or like something from 20 or 30 years ago, it probably sounds odd to them because it's a natural voice that hasn't been, locked into a MIDI template. So I'm not a fan of the big auto-tune sound. A little bit of pitch correction here and there, absolutely. Yeah, I think we all do that, but it's, too much is a turn.
But like you say, I think it's a generational thing, isn't it? Because like I come from a generation where I enjoyed going to gigs and listening to live music because it didn't sound like the album, because it sounded different and exciting. Whereas now I think people go to gigs expecting, Taylor Swift to sound exactly like she sounds on the album. And obviously that's difficult then if then you use a lot of auto-tune or things to help you pitch correction and things like that. It's difficult to then replicate it in a live setting.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Taylor Swift. I've seen some controversial analysis of her live gigs, but I don't want to say anything because that might be libelous. But anyway, some artists use backing tracks that they don't even sing fully live. They have like a backing track of their own vocal, so it's going even beyond autotune now. It's just become like a turn up, mime, and then get off. But that's probably not a recent thing, is it? We've always had those kind of controversies.
Yeah,
I mean, boy bands have always gone on smash hits, Paul Winner parties, and mimed, and Top of the Pops has always had people who have mimed. So it's not a new thing. It's just an unfortunate byproduct of the industry. But yeah, the live experience is really important. I'm intrigued to hear how someone like Oasis sounds now this year compared to when I saw them. I saw them at their peak during Britpop, the big Nebworth gigs that they did. I haven't bought a ticket for them this year. They are coming to Japan, but I refuse to pay that much money to see a band that I've already seen in their prime.
Gotcha. And I think too, though, it's a generational thing, and it's also a talent thing, right? So technology has kind of been a gift and a curse in a way, and I guess it depends on your perspective, right? Because T-Pain, right, is known for auto-tune, and I think there's like an interview or something he's in where he said, like, I think it was Usher told him like he ruined music, and it almost like made him quit. Like it like made him like genuinely depressed. But and the thing is, like, T-Pain can actually sing when he chooses to use auto-tune, right? But I think having something like auto-tune for those who are like, who maybe have like an artistic inclination, like, or maybe can write, but maybe aren't great singers, it kind of gives them like a chance to be able to express themselves in a way that people who were just born with talent can just do on their own. All right. Like, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't want to say like levels the playing field, because obviously people who are just mega talented are that, and like you don't want to take that from them. But somebody who may be a great writer, who may not have somebody to sing for them, right? Maybe it gives them a chance to get out something to the world that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to.
It brings them up to a certain level, definitely. I think a discerning listener will be able to tell the difference. But I mean, it's great that technology has opened the door for everyone, really. I would, if someone's going to use autotune, I would rather that they use it overtly as almost a separate instrument like T-Pain did. I kind of have a certain respect for that because they're not trying to hide the fact that they're singing. They're actually saying, no, I'm using this technology, here it is. But I don't think we should blame T-Pain. I think we should blame Cher.
Yeah.
It's her fault. She started it with I Believe.
She did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've talked about live gigs. How is the live audience difference in Japan as opposed to places like the UK? Because obviously you've gigged in a few different places now.
Yeah, it is quite different. Japanese people in general are just very polite, especially in public settings. So you're not going to get heckled at a gig in Japan. There is a cultural idiosyncrasy that they all performers seem to have that I've been to. There's more talking than there is singing. So they'll sing a song 3 minutes and then they'll talk for 7 minutes. It drives me crazy, but it seems to be part of a cultural thing. When I play live, I don't do that. I just steam through. They give me 20 minutes to play, fine, I'll play 8 songs. And then my Japanese isn't very good anyway, so there's not much I can say. I think the language barrier is an issue. Not just talking between gigs, but they don't really understand what I'm singing about. But I do enjoy playing live. But I haven't played live for about 1.5 years now, so I do want to get back into it. I've just been burying my head and writing new stuff.
So I think you did mention that you may have performed like one time recently in front of maybe like 900 people or something like that. Was I reading that correctly?
Yeah. Last week.
Yeah.
Last week at my school asked me to play guitar with some of the students, and it was like a student-teacher supergroup.
The School of Rock.
Yeah, kind of. Might as well have been. Yeah, Jack Black wasn't there, but it was a celebration event for the third graders graduating, so they'll go on to university next. And they asked me to play for 3 songs. The first one was Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Creedence Clearwater Revival. So I sang on that one. And there was 2 more, which I just played guitar on, and they were Japanese songs that I'd never heard of before, so I had to learn. But it was really fun, yeah. It was like the third or fourth biggest crowd I've ever played in front of, but it was definitely the loudest. It was fantastic. Because I'm like, they introduced me and all the students were like screaming because I'm the cool teacher, right? So, it's Bryan Sensei, woo! So that felt amazing.
So you said that you had quite a big break in between playing as a band and then becoming a solo artist. Now, I personally had a really big break. I stopped playing music when I was 17. But up until that point, I'd had music lessons, drum, keyboard, singing, and then I just stopped. And then when I picked it back up again, I felt really rusty, and I felt like I picked up bad habits, even though I hadn't been playing. I somehow picked up bad habits, and I felt in some way I had to almost relearn things that I'd already learnt before, like things that came naturally to me before were now something that I had to actually think about. So how did you find the process of getting back into music? Was it just like riding a bike?
Well, before I came to Japan, I was in my second band, which was, it was a lot less, for want of a better term, stressful. It was less serious, but it was more fun. And we were writing the kind of music that I would go out and buy. So that got me kind of back into the groove. And then I came to Japan, and yeah, there was another hiatus. In terms of, because it was such a different thing, writing for myself, it was almost like learning from scratch anyway. I always pick up my guitar, when I'm bored, so I didn't really have to keep my feet wet that way. But songwriting-wise, it was a new thing for me anyway. although I've got about 14 songs online now, Spotify and Apple. Before that, there was a lot of other songs that I wrote that I didn't release. You know, you kind of getting up to speed behind closed doors. So, yeah.
So it looks like we all have had kind of long breaks in our music at times. Yeah,
I actually even now, but especially before, I have a kind of love-hate relationship with music. A part of it is because of the experience that I went through with the record label. Certainly, I have no love for the music industry, but also I don't listen to music nearly as much as I used to. So my exposure to music is almost entirely through my creative process now. I get everything that I need to from picking up my guitar and writing a song.
So you said that after things didn't work out with the band and the record label, you sort of almost went to a bit of a dark place with that. So how did you come back from that, and what advice would you give to other artists who perhaps finding themselves in a dark place?
Yeah, I did go to a really dark place. I think you have to, when you hit a nadir, all you can do is bounce, right? If the ball hits the ground, all it can do is come back up. So I think you've got to realize that music isn't everything, and there's a lot more to life. So when I gave up playing music, I decided to go back into education. So I went to college with a view to getting into university, because I wanted to become involved in multimedia. So that was like 6 years of my life doing that. And because I was happy doing something else, I found happiness through something that wasn't causing me pain, which was music at the time. I then had space in my life to fall back in love with playing guitar again. It was like, I don't need it, but that gives me more power to kind of want it. So I had a lot more things to say. Well, when I was young, I didn't have anything interesting to say. But now, even though it feels like I've left it really far too late, I don't think I would be... I think I can only be the songwriter now that I could have ever been. I only have the things that I have to say because I'm older. So I couldn't write the songs that I'm writing at any other time.
It's kind of everything happens for a reason type situation.
Absolutely, yeah. I've definitely adopted that mindset that there are no wrong decisions. It's just whatever you choose. It's like a choose your own adventure book, right? Although I guess those books do have wrong decisions because that's how they decide. But it's like a choose your own adventure book where there aren't any wrong decisions. It's just a different journey. There's always something to learn.
I like that.
So I've become very preachy. Sorry.
No,
I should get.
No, I think that's a really valuable piece of information to share with people, because you're right. Everything happens for a reason, and like yourself, the things that I write about are based on my experiences. And if I'd have written songs at 17, they wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have quite as much weight to them, because I hadn't personally experienced these things. So it would have just been a typical love song, or just a typical song. Whereas now I can write meaningful songs, which I think strikes people more on a personal level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same with my students. I enjoy teaching all ages, but I really enjoy teaching the older students because they have so much more to say. They have more life experience. The essays that they write are more interesting. They come up with more amusing, more intellectual responses. It's got to be the same with songwriting, right? I know there are some prodigies out there that can play the guitar at 1,000 miles an hour at the age of 14, and that's fantastic. But in terms of life experience, you can't cheat with that. There's no shortcut.
It's true. And so, I mean, we've talked a lot about music and the writing process and everything like that. Let's get into the song that you're gonna share with us here today. I believe we're gonna play Mach 1. So tell us a little bit about that song, how that one came to be.
That song, lyrically, it's generally about journeying into the afterlife. Not in a depressing way, but in a kind of speculative way. Specifically, it was born out of just thinking about my father, who passed away when I was in my early 20s. I just started thinking about him, thinking about, I wonder if there'll ever be another connection, or whether, So I just started applying that lyrical theme. But musically, recently, I've started challenging my vocals a little bit more to sing notes that aren't in the chord. I know that sounds like, oh yeah, but we all do that, Bryan. But I think Tom York of Radiohead does this a lot. He'll start a vocal line with a note that's not in the chord, and it creates a certain tension, and it makes a big difference, because when you resolve that tension, it just gives you that exhalation, that of, yeah, that sounds good.
Well, if you want to go ahead and do the honors of giving the song the introduction, and we'll get into it.
Okay, so this is from my current Cognition By Proxy EP, and this is the first track, Mach 1.
It's all the rage to flee asunder.
Bryan, thank you for letting us take a listen to Mach 1, first song off of your latest project. Dope song. I think for me, when I hear your music, I get kind of like soundtrack vibes. Like I'm listening to it and I'm trying to like listen to like I know like kind of like build up an opinion of this, right? But it just like I keep like fading away into the music, and it sounds like I could have been listening to these songs all my life. Like it almost feels familiar, just like listening to the songs. So I'm like, yeah, think of something like interesting to say about it, but I would just like kind of fade away into the songs, and I'm like, oh crap, I stopped thinking and I just started listening. So,
Oh wow, yeah, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned familiar. That's a really lovely term, because I try to make music that isn't time stamped, that doesn't sound like it's Britpop. I don't even want to make music that sounds like it's from 2025. I want it to sound timeless as possible. And you mentioned soundtrack. My aspirations, if I have any musically, are I would love to have one of my songs on a movie or a Netflix show or something like that. Yeah, thanks. That's really kind.
like you're on the right track.
Yeah, right track. Nice pun.
So I could absolutely see your music on a soundtrack. I think that could definitely happen for you, because like I say, I love your music, and I think that it would fit quite a few different genres of shows or movies. So what can we expect from you next? Do you have anything in the pipeline, or is there anything you're working towards?
Oh, say pipeline again.
Pipeline?
Pipeline. That's I like that.
Pipeline.
No, I'm from Yorkshire, so I can't talk about accents. Yeah, so I've just done an EP. That's the first EP that I've done, and I really like how it came out. I'm really proud of it. So I think that's a format that I'd like to focus on primarily going forward, with the odd single in between. So I will probably do another EP next. I've still got another 15 or 16 songs that I've got written that I haven't recorded yet. And it's doing my head in a bit, because I want to get them all out of my head. Driving me crazy. So I don't have any dates in mind yet, but it'll probably be another few months before that comes out, because I'm really slow at recording. But I'm hoping to get some live gigs under my belt this year.
I'm also really slow recording, and that's when I'm actually recording. I know for me, I will have like hundreds of takes, because I am in my head a perfectionist, and then trying to get it to be what I want, especially before I learned how to punch in and punch out. It was just so many failed takes of everything. So I used to really take the longest time possible to record just a verse, and a song would take so long.
Yeah, for me, it's creating the drum track. The start of it is the hardest part for me, laying the groundwork. After that, everything kind of flows. But yeah, opening that file for the first time is the most intimidating part for me, because you kind of know that your next 3 or 4 weeks is going to be like every evening after work, just moving a hi-hat half a pixel.
Yeah. That's definitely, like you said, it's definitely a grind. But I mean, when we talk about grinds, especially as artists, right, I feel like the biggest grind is probably what's coming next. It's always what's coming next. And right now, what's coming next is the new artist spotlight, Quickfire Five. And that's about the biggest grind there is.
Nice segue.
So, Quickfire Five. 5 questions, no more than 15 seconds to answer each question. If you don't answer a question in 15 seconds, you are banished from Earth. You actually have to go retrieve the astronauts that are still stuck in space, and then you can't come back. You stay in space, they come back. It's actually a trade. And then, of course, there's you don't get to take an instrument. You're just in space.
Yeah, that sounds reasonably proportional.
Absolutely.
It's fair, yeah.
Lisa, you want to kick us off?
Okay, so your first question, what is your favourite song from the NAS playlist right now?
So he's not actually on. I don't think he's actually a NAS member, but his music's still there. I really like Yorkshire by Wilco Wilkes. It never fails to make me smile because I'm from Yorkshire, so I recognise every single town that he's mentioned in that rap. So that has a special place in my heart.
All right. That guy, he just sticks around, doesn't he?
Sorry, Lisa. I know that's your predecessor. You're probably sick of hearing about it.
Heartbroken.
Have some compassion for the host. Question number 2, if you could have dinner with any artist, past or present, who would you pick?
Well, Charles Connolly mentioned me last time, didn't he? So I kind of, obviously I would choose him. I want to give a special mention to Marcus Magnuson and Ryan from Bracell and Naish. There's a lot of nice people I've met in NAS, but yeah, I've got to say Charles.
Okay. Question number 3. What is your guilty pleasure song? Cheesy song that you hate to admit that you love?
Yeah, cheesy songs they come in and out of fashion, don't they? So sometimes they become cool again. So I don't know what constitutes cheesy. Waterloo by ABBA, is that cheesy? Does that count?
Counts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Define what a successful career as an artist is for you.
Success is recording all of the music that's in my head and then being able to go off into the wilderness and live off the grid.
Okay, question number 5. If you could have the voice of any other recording artist, who would you choose?
It would be a cross between Chris Stapleton and Susan Boyle.
All right. We're going to have Andres put the timer up and we'll see. There's one question that was a little bit iffy, but I feel like you might have made it. Otherwise, we'll see you in space.
Right.
Might have to save that rocket. Save that rocket for next week.
Well, I'll keep my passport handy just in case.
You need a passport for space.
No, because you're not allowed to come back. So, no, you don't need it. You only need it for re-entry.
Okay. I not want to come back anyway. It's fine.
Well, you have to be off the grid.
Yeah, off the grid.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess for you, I'd like to give you a chance. If there's anything that you wanted to just share with anybody who will be listening, who stumbles upon this podcast, or is in the future looking for you and finds this podcast, anything that you want to share, want the world to know.
Yeah, I think I've done enough preaching for one podcast. Yeah, I just want everybody to listen to my music if they want to, and don't listen to it if you don't. There's lots of other music out there. I'm not one of these people who wants to force my music down their throat. When I was growing up, the music that I loved was music that I discovered, and I felt a certain ownership to it because I felt like it was mine, my little secret. So I would love people to discover my music that way. But if you do want to check out my music, then at Bryan_Cooper will usually land you at one of my social media pages. But to be honest, you can Google my name and, I'm like the top 1,000 search results. So don't worry about it.
So you're pretty important. Like one of the first out of 1,000 people that pops up is
me
massive.
and the jockey called Bryan Cooper. Yeah, there's a horse jockey from Ireland called Bryan Cooper. It's my nemesis.
Take that guy out.
Check him out. He's ridden some great horses.
Saw the horse anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it the horse or the jockey? Is it the DAW or the artist? It's one of life's great debates.
That's deep. You say you were done preaching, but that one right there, that's deep. Is it really Pro Tools, or are you just a good engineer?
Yeah, there is.
All right. I mean, it's been a good conversation. I enjoyed having you on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out as well to everybody who has been pushing and supporting the community, everybody who's giving us, the reviews and the radio play and the opportunities at free mixing, all the things that go in the community. And thank you for joining us today. Like I said, good conversation. Look forward to keeping in touch with you. And peace out, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
New artist spot.